Hi, this is Alex Rose, and it is Saturday. Sit back and relax. We're on the green couch.
DJ.
Where's your drum machine?
Oh, I left my multitude of synthesizers are at home. So I want to drop a little bit of behind the scenes could have been stuff. All right, let me say I watch a lot of videos on YouTube from this guy Clayton Fiore who does a channel dedicated exclusively to the Jurassic Park film franchise. He talks a lot about different iterations of scripts for the movies that could have been. It's all very nerdy stuff, but I'm like fascinated with it. So for fans of very nerdy stuff and things that could have been, I want to share on a similar tip for our listeners. Did you know at one point ArtSchool Records was trying to put together a special Christmas episode?
Oh yeah, the Christmas episode. I totally forgot.
We wanted to get a bunch of our artist friends to record Christmas songs. We got one.
We got one, but okay,
We'll save it for next year.
right. So let's start now. Okay, we're gonna go with one of my favorite authors,
Hmm?
David Lee Roth, who once famously said, "The bad news is we've totally lost our way. The good news is we're way ahead of schedule. So we are way ahead of schedule on the Christmas album. So we're going to do that. We're going to do a Christmas album. Okay.
So we're dropping this news now. Next Christmas.
Next Christmas.
We're going to have an episode or an album or something, but we need our artist friends to contribute Christmas songs or holiday songs in general. I don't know. In where we come from, there weren't a lot of Jews. I don't know.
I got nothing for that.
But that segues into this. Raz, we got another postcard.
Oh, hey, the postcards.
This one is from Kim of Stunt Driver. On the Instagram, I'll put up a photo of it, but it is beat. The postcard is crumpled. It looks like it was mailed through a trash compactor. And Kim writes, yo, can you tell this has been in my bag since the podcast? Kim, yes, we can. Right here, I think she writes, sorry, I couldn't gotten to that Xmas song, but there was no effing time. Next year, happy 2020, feels great, and it looks like she wrote Armenian, but that can't be right. Well, Kim, feels great Armenian to you too. As we were saying, we're looking forward to your contributions to our 2020 holiday episode.
There you go. Awesome.
Hey, Raz, how you doing? I'm back in the studio, bro.
Yeah, dude, you're back in the studio. It's nice to have you back. I don't really have anything to talk about tonight. I'm just kind of out. I'm just spent.
That's cool, man. We're taping both this and the interview in the same day, and so it allows me some closer reflection on the interview. We had a really nice guest in, and listeners, you can get to hear that coming up next. Our interview with Alex Rose of Canyon Counterpoint. She was like a super literary songwriter in the tradition of like a Patti Smith.
Yeah.
Or, like a Leonard Cohen, somebody who like really is very diligent and concerned with their word choice, not just
Right. That's why I brought up the David Lee Roth thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she was great. And one of the, so a little behind the scenes thing is that our studio here has large glass windows and a large glass door that looks out into a courtyard. So every time a podcast guest comes in, I can easily spot them as the person wandering around. So I spotted her out there wandering around looking for
Looking lost.
but that's kind of what happens with all of our podcast guests. But she was great. I we could have sat and talked all night with her.
Yeah, let's give a listen to this interview then. But first, I want to say the universe has heard our requests, and we've gotten our first ever sponsor for the podcast. And so we'd like to say thank you to our good friends over at Patchwork Cables.
I actually use patchwork cables here in the studio when we record, and this is by far the best guitar cable I've ever used.
I mean, we could tell just from having them around that they're really durable. But as far as specific specs go, the company tells us that the braided cables are made with Mogami cables and Nutric plugs. And they're all tested, they're all handmade, and they're all double-checked before shipping out to customers.
Yes, good thing you know all that type of stuff. All I know is that they kick ass. Like, I plug it into my Les Paul, and it just stays, and it never pops out. Like, the quality is crazy. I freak out, and they look great.
They do come in a variety of colors and lengths, and they are incredibly heavy duty.
I'm sold. It's the only cable I'm ever going to use, ever.
So listeners, if you are a musician and you're looking for instrument cables for your guitars, for your microphones, for your modular synthesizers, Patchwork Cables is offering On the Green Couch listeners a special discount. Go to patchworkcables.com and use code GREENCOUCH at checkout. And Raz, with that, let's listen to a little bit of Alex Rose, Canyon Counterpoint, and then we'll jump into the interview.
I've come undone by a femme fatale and her noirish machinations. When I saw her that day, the walls were heavy with the things we didn't say. So what if I don't come back? Would you stay, or did I already lose ya? In those moments I felt giant. In those moments I felt giant.
So, like bless your heart and bless your heart. That's kind of like, oh, you're a Pisces. That's similar to like the, oh, bless your heart. Yeah. So it's like I'm a mess. I'm like, it's okay.
Oh, I have this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I know we have these cartoonish large microphones like we're
This is
doing.
cool. I just get to sit here.
Yeah.
This is
I
like
can wave my arms around.
it's like a Gallagher-sized
Do
microphone.
this. You guys can't do that.
Oh, Bill does that no matter what.
I'm a habitual gesticulator. Does Gallagher still do the Gallagher thing?
I think so. No, I think he does. Like, I think he does.
He's still smashing watermelons. Last I heard, he actually went on Joe Rogan's show and was like saying some like crazy shit about Mexicans.
Yeah, like he's like a racist, right-wing, crazy person.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Same thing with the guy who made the Dilbert comics.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Bummer. But his dry office humor was so appealing to such a wide demographic.
I was very passionate about the Metro and State section of the Austin American Statesman, the newspaper that came to my house every morning.
Oh, I thought you meant the Statesman.
Just those men of state.
Just to
from
clarify,
Austin.
not the Statesman, but the newspaper.
The newspaper section specifically, because it had horoscopes,
Oh.
and it had comics,
Okay.
and it had weather.
Those things
And
both
the
make me
crossword puzzle?
laugh.
It had the crossword puzzle. It had
An advice columnist?
an advice columnist. Yeah. Dear Abby.
Dear Abby.
And then Ann Landers was like her number 2,
Okay, yeah.
too.
Right. So, Dear Abby.
Yeah.
But it was some person at a...
Hello, my name is Todd.
Right.
I am
Wasn't
Abby.
Abby?
It's totally some like intern that's like, I want to work in newspapers. And he sits down at a desk and like,
All right, you're going to tell people how to tell their kids that their dog died.
Oh man, I'm so into it. Being like, I loved the little like portrait of her. She was this congenial, like elderly lady.
yeah,
A lot of grandma energy, wisdom. Not Todd the intern.
Not
What the
Todd.
fuck
Not
is
Todd the intern.
No.
But that's like a really great racket. You know, it's kind of like the Betty Crocker type of thing. Like, you know, it's, you know, just get a picture of an old lady and now you're Ann Landers. Because before the internet, you know, you're not going to check. You're not going to go, let me check the New York
Right.
Times and make sure that's the
Right.
same person. Like, oh,
Deep dive expose
right, totally.
from like rival newspapers. We went looking. It turns out Abby is named Samantha.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God. Newspaper columnists were like the original influencers. They were like,
Is this a revelation that you're having on
yes.
air?
They're the ones that are like, you know, like Dear Abby's branding was so dialed in. It's like we all like trusted her. She had this trusted voice. This like she looked trustworthy. It was proven because she gave all this great advice. She did it for 50 years. Like it was great branding.
It was great branding. Yeah,
She was influential.
she was. But that's one thing that the internet has done that's kind of great and kind of awful at the same time, that it has eviscerated trust.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, if you think about like the newscasters, right? What's his name?
Which one? Brian Williams?
No, like we're going way back.
Cronkite?
Cronkite, yeah.
Concrete.
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 There it is. It's early.
Bolter Concrete.
Yeah, but, right. That's his, what was that? We
His Bizarro World.
name, right? Yeah. But he was the most trusted name in news. So people like trusted that.
Yeah.
So you have a generation of people trusting one person. And that one person was getting his information from other influential people that didn't have the listener or the viewer's livelihood in their best interest.
I don't know. Walter Cronkite was backed by like a flourishing newsroom. Like
Right.
those people checked facts. They researched. They sent people out in the field to like ask people questions. You don't have that in newsrooms now. You know,
Or
like
do you? Because you don't trust that you. Well, they probably
There
do.
it is. I don't trust.
Right.
Yeah. There's
But
like
that's.
an inherent.
I mean, it's awful
Yeah.
because trust is gone. But it makes it better for the human mind because now you're actually like searching for the truth as opposed to having it fed to you.
On the contrary, what tends to happen is that people just dismiss everything.
And that's good.
That's true.
No, it's not, because there's no consensus, and that's why we can't even determine whether or not the Russians hacked an election.
But yeah.
So you,
anyways.
you read these Dear Abbeys and these comics in
Yeah, I loved it.
which one? The Austin
The Austin
Statesman.
American Statesman. It's not a great publication anymore, I believe.
What is?
The New Yorker. Trust them. I trust the New Yorker.
No,
Really deeply.
I don't necessarily read it, but I trust it.
Right. We don't always read every, you know, that.
I read
old-
the New York Times.
It
I don't read
piles
the New
up.
Yorker.
The issues pile up on the coffee table. It's like it's cliche for a reason because it is. It's tricky. It's so dense to like read the entire thing front to back every week.
I don't trust newspapers.
Dude, will you? Are you the reason why my wife doesn't believe in the moon landing?
Oh no.
Whoa, so many questions about that.
I think she does. I think she does, but she leaves just enough breathing room in there to make me nervous.
Yeah, my ex-boyfriend used to call me conspiracy baby. Like that.
What does that mean?
That I just enjoy conspiracy theories. He just, whenever he'd hear one, he would just assume that I bought into it. And he was not a writer, mind you, but he wrote me lyrics to a song called Conspiracy Baby one year for my birthday. Very sweet.
Conspiracy baby.
It's like a doo-wop song.
It totally
You
is.
believe everything that you hear.
Yeah, totally. No,
That was like verbatim what it was.
The mole people are really down there.
I thought it was so sweet. I just magnetized it to the fridge. Just looked at it. Was like, oh.
So this guy who loved you and these lyrics he wrote you for a song,
Yeah.
he was he a musician?
not a musician. Later kind of got into script writing, like TV writing.
Okay. Where was this?
I was living in Austin. I lived in Austin for about a year. And that is where I recorded my first album.
Yeah, because that's funny, because when you walked in, we were kind of talking about the music.
Yeah.
And I said it sounded very Austin.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I had that's kind of like what I only really knew about you was like, it was the Austin, LA type of thing. And I was like, oh, you know, it sounds Austin, has that Austin like snare sound and stuff like that.
Is that the Arcadian Pages?
And that is that.
Professionally speaking, as a musician, do you go by Alex Rose or do you go by Canyon Counterpoint?
An excellent question. I'm trying to make it as confusing as possible. I released music under my own name for a long time. There is a pop rap star named Alex Rose who has like millions and millions of followers, billions of streams. It got to the point in the last year where I could just no longer ignore the fact that Spotify was even just confusing our names. Like related artists for me were like these rap artists from South America. And like, that's cool. Like, I'm into that, but it was making it just like hard to find music, harder to Google, all of those things. And I'd kind of been thinking, I'm like, you know what? This music is me. Like, I am interpreting the songs. Like, I'm the vessel for the songs to come through. But it's not me per se. Like, it's something I've helped create.
You do have collaborators that you work with from song to song, right? It's like, I think you've got your 2 most recent singles feature 3 different collaborators. Is that right?
Yeah. I've got a couple, these really great guys in Eagle Rock on the east side that I got plugged in with. Actually, it's all kind of through Community Chorus, which is this chorus I sing with. And my friend Ben Babbitt and I just became friends through like singing together with our friend Carolyn Penny Packer Riggs. She's a performance artist here. And I was talking to Ben. I was like, I really want to do these new songs. He's like, you got to record with Theo. He's like the secret gem of LA, of Northeast LA. Like, okay. So I met with him and I was like, I'm kind of hearing like this kind of sound. And he's like, let's make a tape loop. The next thing I knew, we were just like splicing up tape and putting it in a reel-to-reel and like creating this incredible texture. That was the first thing we ever did together. It was just like so to the max creative. And I just knew, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do more. Like we were kind of testing the waters a little bit. Like we'll do like one song together and see how it feels. And it was just so right. So kept going, ended up doing 10 songs together. Ben came in, played some extra guitar, clarinet, flute, piano on some songs. But Theo's really like the bedrock of a lot of the Canyon Counterpoint material because he helped bring the percussion to life, synthesizers. He's better technical guitar player than I am, so sometimes he even helped me play like some of the parts even more rhythmically just to get it right. Like I couldn't have done it without him.
Are those out in the world yet?
No.
No? Okay,
not
cool.
Yet.
That was what I thought was the case, but I just wanted to double check that I didn't just overlook them.
No, so that's what's exciting is like I'm really feeling my way through releasing these things. Like I released a couple. I released Giant, which was kind of the most pop, like straightforward pop song that we did. And it just felt really good to release songs like under a project name, like just put some separation between me and the work, you know? Like I of course people know that Alex Rose is the human person creating the stuff, but it's like they're not my songs. They're songs that came to me, that I conceived of because I was open or creative or hurting or whatever, and I opened my mind to them to come through. So yeah, with Canyon Counterpoint, it's really, I'm allowing myself to be a little bit more experimental with how I approach it.
But Woody Guthrie also believed that nobody owns music.
Oh, that's cool. I'm an unapologetically huge Bob Dylan fan, so that checks out.
I mean, there's nothing really wrong with being a huge Bob Dylan head. I think the drawback is when people sound like that. When you can turn on their record and say like, oh, you really like Bob Dylan, huh? Like I can get a certain sense of it from you in that you're a wordy songwriter.
Yeah.
You got a lot of words in your songs. Like Johnny Cash or Nick Cave or like one of these people who like either by virtue of being like an English major or just a country singer, they, the words are the point for them.
That is my natural tendency for writing, is more on the literary tip, and the stuff that really inspires me to write is like being stopped dead in my tracks by an amazing sentence in a book. That is what really inspires me to write. And I'm experimenting with like, how do I marry like literary leanings with the form of songwriting? So that's kind of my next task, because like I'm gonna go back in with Theo and like do some songs that have a few less words, just a few, but like they're a little more pithy, big chorus, like see kind of how to like push the literary envelope, but like in that form, because that form exists for a reason. I was kind of, I'm curious about that too.
You ever heard the comedian Mitch Hedberg?
Yeah.
He's got that joke about like, when you come to Hollywood as a comedian and you want to make it big, they say, okay, you're good at telling jokes, but can you write? And he compares it to like, it's as if you spent your whole life trying to be a good chef and they asked you, but can you farm? It's just one of these byproducts of like recording music in a pop context, that you have words, but so many people seem divorced from good wordcraft.
Yes.
Like it's like, honest to God, if I didn't feel like I had to put words in my songs, I often wouldn't.
Yeah.
But for most people, they're just like, what is this? Boring. Turn it off.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think part of it is also the way that people feel so rushed now. It's like there's everything is really urgent. And so if they're in the studio and they've bought the time or whatever, they're sitting with their collaborator, they're just throwing stuff at the wall. They're like, yeah, like, oh yeah, like the water fits in the bottle. Oh yeah, that works as a lyric,
Doesn't make much sense, but it works
right.
as a lyric.
Hey,
but
man.
I honestly...
Well, there's two schools. It's not, there's what you say and then how you say it. So there's a whole, like the pop community, or even going back, not even just modern pop, but even popular music throughout the 50s, 60s, and 70s, all the way up. It's been like a how you say it type of thing.
There was, come on, baby, let's do the twist, and come on, baby,
Right.
let's do the twist.
And then you get into like
Totally.
David Lee Roth is a how you say it type of guy. It's like, might as well jump. Okay. And
Oh, totally.
Right?
Oh my God.
Right.
And it's like so great. It's so
How
powerful.
dare you diminish the literary titan that is DLR,
right.
Diamond Dave.
But the other side is like the Bob Dylan, and Wilco is the same way. Jeff Tweedy is very it's all about kind of the words, and there's still that element in pop music where there is room for that literary type of thing. So
I think there's room. I think it's our job, like, to infuse that wherever we can, like infuse creativity and wonder and however you can. And I get really fascinated by words, and I put words into my songs sometimes that I really think that I understand the meaning of them, and then years later I'll hear it again another way, and I'm like, wow, that's what atavistic means to me. Like, but that's what's so powerful about languages, and I try not to hurry it, because I think that, like, a song can be as timely or as timeless as a book, really.
right, like if nobody hears your song, right, and you like, say you wrote the song 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And nobody's heard it other than you. The minute you hand it to somebody, it's a new song. It's not a 10-year-old song. It's a completely brand new song to that person.
The most freeing thing someone ever said to me was, no one's waiting for you to put your record out.
Oh God!
No,
not
no,
Boosh. Raz is just sitting on a throne of
Did
gold.
did I fluff some feathers here?
Yeah,
Yes.
this is a
It's a screed. I went on that. Nobody gives a fuck about your music.
Right, but that's really freeing. So why not make it as good as possible and take the time that it deserves?
you,
And
Paul
then-
Simon, and Leonard Cohen.
Right, and then makes somebody care about it.
And then yeah, because you cared about it, because you cared about it enough to give it the to water it and give it the attention and
Right. The worst thing for and my point of the screed was the worst thing for a new artist is to think somebody out there is waiting for my music, so I gotta get it out there. I gotta put my video out there because somebody's waiting for it. And what that
Right.
does is it creates a sense of like I just gotta get it out there, as opposed to like no, let's complete the thought. Let's write the song because nobody gives a fuck about your music right now.
While we're talking about all that music, why don't we just give our listeners a chance to listen to a little bit of Alex Rose, Canyon Counterpoint, and we'll be right back.
She fills me with ancient magic. I'm alive in her golden dawn. My eyes are open. My worries gone. And her airs breed great art of the American Southwest. Oh, how her fingers felt against my flesh. Crosses. Could I be the cowgirl in your mystery? Spindles of shrouded cavalry, golden memories in ancient keys. The roads are idols, drive before us, dangerous, demands trickle down in front of us. It's long before midnight. I'm under the same spell, a reflection of a shadow. I'm unmarked, unmasked. I will never tell. Old Americana, techno color. Could I be the cowgirl in your mystery? I can't tell if it's a western or a science fiction. It's some amalgamation. Crosses. Crosses demands attention. Crosses cover my eyes so I can see.
I don't know how to define that. Like there's
Yeah.
not a quick, but also I feel articulate way of naming that genre.
Yeah, other than delicious.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
so nice
no,
of
like
you
the
to say.
sonically, it was really like tasty. You know,
Cool.
there's stuff coming in and out that I was like, ooh, okay. It's just like beats that just kind of drop in from nowhere. It's like, you're like, oh, okay. And then it's like a flute and a guitar and stuff like that. And listening back, I could hear the journey. It's almost like it's something you would listen to in the car. I could just, I was close my eyes and you feel like your arm outside the window and it's kind of hot outside and there's nothing but talk radio on.
So I wrote that song going like 85 miles an hour in Arizona. It's like somewhere outside of Flagstaff on like a part of Route 66, right? Like where the old road kind of gets wavy, like a wave, yeah.
Wavy like a wave.
Wavy like a wave.
She really is into words.
Regular Woody Guthrie over here.
Yeah, but you could feel
yeah.
that.
Yeah, that was the energy of that, And sometimes you don't know when the song is going to come through. And I was feeling open, and I loved driving. Like, I loved the open road. Just like anything could happen.
Right.
What's next? That's such a fun place to work from. And so naturally, like, I get a lot of ideas when I'm in the car. That one was one of the more dangerous ones. Luckily, it was like open road. But, I was like, I'll just get this one sentence, like phrase down.
So
and
you
then
were
I'll stop.
like pen to paper writing while doing 80.
I had the notes section of my phone open.
I don't know
and then
which is
I'd,
worse.
And then I'd close it because I was like, this is really dangerous. And then it just kept coming. In hindsight, I could have pulled over.
Yeah, maybe.
But would the idea have kept coming?
Oh,
Because
fair.
there was something about the high velocity, like the way that it was coming. And like, I guess I feel like I just heard that song for the first time. So it actually does kind of sound like that, doesn't it?
It does sound like you're driving 80 miles an hour. Like the actual song itself does sound like you're driving really fast. And that's kind of what I was alluding to. Like you could feel the hot air, the window open type of thing like that.
Yeah, things blowing by, kind of like, oh, there goes, like, I don't know, I'm thinking of like the dinosaurs
Right.
on the
The
side
world's
of the...
largest thermometer.
Yeah, it's just like things blowing by like roadside attractions,
Yeah.
in the way that instruments are coming in
Right.
and then going out. And then, all of a sudden it's like you hit new pavement and the drums.
Yeah.
It's a very visually evocative song, especially because you name drop the American Southwest, and so it like all of a sudden like the spacious reverberated guitars, the radio sounds, like it's all contextualized. This is highway music.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a little clue.
Bill, you just described it.
You did it. I
But
think
again,
we figured
like,
it out.
What would you like? Highway music?
Highway music.
Okay,
So-
but what I think of that is 18 miles of Memphis, 18 miles from Memphis by like the Stray Cats,
Sure.
or like, I don't know, that when you say highway music, the only examples I can come up with are like, they don't sound like this.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean,
Does indie rock work? I
In-
mean,
yeah, well-
but that doesn't feel concise, like sonically, or if it, like, yes, that's like 2 short 4-letter or 5-letter words, but it doesn't get to, like, that's also like fucking Franz Ferdinand and Gorillaz
Right.
and
okay. Talking about like kind of categorizing a song now with the advent of like Spotify and like playlists, right? As opposed to going, where would I put this song as like pop or indie or whatever? I would say that highway music is the playlist that it would go on, right? Because I
Okay.
mean, we're now in like
that's
we're-
giving credence to Spotify as the
Well,
arbiter. But
Well, I mean, playlists are the thing. Even like even on your Apple iTunes and stuff like that, or whatever, we're now in kind of that realm of like playlists. It's build a playlist. Everybody's trying to get on a playlist, like share the playlist. So maybe this is one of those songs that doesn't fit into. Yes, it's indie. Yes, it could be construed as like a little electronic, type of thing, but in a playlist sense, and that type of description, I would definitely put it in like a highway track. It's actually probably going to go in. I have a playlist called "Fuck Yeah," right? Right. No, because there's 2 types. There's like "Fuck Yeah," and it's like, oh, fuck yeah, right? So, like,
one of
like
those things are said to fireworks, the other one is said to hamburgers.
right. Yeah. No, like I have like like Highway Star by Deep Purple. I'm like, fuck yeah. But then there's like, Rich Girl by like Hall & Oates. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. Right. So it kind of falls into that, like that playlist. So I would say I'm going with, and I'm just making this, I'm just talking out of my ass. But I would say that as opposed to trying to define it as like a genre, because it doesn't, I don't know how you put it in a genre. I would put it in a playlist of highway songs, or, I still contend delicious, because sonically it's delicious. And that's where I'm going.
Well, thank you for saying it's delicious. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think well, that's cool. I mean, if it evokes a feeling like that, then it seems like I did my job of like conveying the idea. So that makes me feel really good. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. I'm really influenced. I've used it a couple times on like some other tracks that haven't ever made it on albums, but I really love like motoric drums, like krautrock style, like one chord. Like that song is one chord. Motoric drums. It's like a noise song.
Yeah.
So like that was like the reference for me of when I wrote it, was like, oh.
And what was the concept behind crosses? Was that like a thing? Because there are like, if you drive between California and head east or west, there are a lot of crosses in that type of like symbolism of American Christianity. Was that kind of what you were going with, or you
a
just
little bit? Yeah. Thanks for asking. I mean, I think that it's both very literal and more interpretive. Like a crossing is, there's many ways to go at a crossing. You have choices. But also the song is about kind of ancient religions and spirituality and what does it mean? And like how can you fit like these kind of like human experiences in with like how can something as like physical and mundane as like a railroad crossing, like, oh, I'm being asked to stop and like watch, but how do you kind of connect that to the larger, just like ethereal, like the stuff that you can't describe? Like that song for me is just like, it's a lot about like those feelings you can't describe, that you just know, that you're overcome with the night. That's like when you're on the open road, you just feel it. It's like, how do you describe that? Like more than just saying that. Like I do dabble. I go to church, and I know that's like really taboo. Like I feel like it's cool to be a Jew, but like it's not that cool to be a Christian.
No, I have a friend that uses it as a repellent for when guys come up to her. That like if she doesn't like the guy, the first thing she says, "I'm a Christian," and they just walk away.
Sub question: you say you gave up. When we have guests come in, we'll ask them like, "Oh, do you want something there?" Matamoska wanted donuts. Alex Rose asked for fruits and vegetables because she gave up chocolate for Lent. Were you raised Catholic?
No, Episcopalian and Presbyterian.
All right.
Yeah, and I've been, like a lot of, I listen to Catholic talk radio, which is a hoot. I don't recommend it to everybody, but I'll say it since we're on the subject of crosses, right? I think it's amazing. It's a bunch of people tuning into this radio station to like, because we all believe in something that we can't describe. Like, what is that? Yeah. It's wild. What is that? And I have not given anything up for Lent in like 15 years, but I am this year because I think I'm being asked to. I'm being asked to say, like, how do I step out of like the everyday like throes of my human body? It's such a drag to be in this thing sometimes.
If only we could all be clouds of gas. Right.
But like, maybe we can. Maybe we can go one step further,
At least be one step further than meat blob.
Yeah.
I, for one, will remain meat blob.
So, yeah, that's what that song is about. When you're like alone on the open road, you just start thinking about it's like, it's mundane and it's big at the same time. But that's like what life is.
Yeah.
What's next for The project, the Canyon Counterpoint project.
Yeah, the next step, I'm gonna go back and record. I have about 4 or 5 other songs that didn't make it in that first batch. I'm gonna just record a little bit more, keep releasing singles, and then eventually put out a full-length record when the time feels right. I think I've thought a lot about this, and I'm an album person. I have records, love records. It was like the first thing I wanted to do. Like as a musician, I was like, I want to make a record.
Right? Yeah.
I don't want to make one song. I want to make a record.
Do you have a favorite record?
Oh, man. Okay, well, so for a long time, it was Wire's Pink Flag.
Okay.
Yeah,
Deep cut. Good choice.
yeah. I have a tattoo. I'm having my tattoos removed, but I have a Wire tattoo. And I'll wear it like a badge of honor until it's gone. But then, like the classics, like Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, like, of course. And then, as I got older, like, the Postal Service was like huge for me. Slater Kinney.
Oh yeah.
And then now I look at like some of my favorite albums of recent years. Is like I love Grimes. I just think she's really visionary.
You have any strong opinions on the new one?
I've only listened to it once. I liked it. I was a little bit scared to listen to it because I loved Art Angels so much, and her as celebrity, as persona, because 2020, we can't have nice things anymore. Can I just have Grimes, my pop star? No, she's also a person who tweets about like environmental protections. And some of the things where I was like, oh man, but this is what I'm talking about. It's like, sometimes we have to like, and this is a large conversation, but like, how do we separate artists from art? Like,
this was a discussion we had on the last episode as well.
You're not the
something's
only
in the
one
water.
worrying
About it.
Yeah.
Something's in the water. Like, but I think she made a great record. I can't wait to listen to it more. Yeah, a couple songs really stood out, but like, I think as a whole, it's really interesting. Like, especially in like, it hit me on a day where it was like really smoggy in LA, and I was just like, capitalism is really like waving its flag today. And like, then like Grimes showed up. And it's like, this is the soundtrack for the end of day, like late stage capitalism, the smog, the money, the social media. It's that music.
I turn on the Blade Runner soundtrack.
Sick. Yes. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. That's my fuck yeah.
See, there you go. Oh, we have a fuck yeah convert. I want everybody who's listening to have a fuck yeah playlist.
To be just a complete sidebar, on YouTube today, I was bringing up some video, and then the advertisement that pops up is the opening shot of Los Angeles from Blade Runner, and it says, it sounds like the guy from the Allstate commercials, like this dude with this really deep voice that says, Blade Runner is coming to Los Angeles. Expensive apartments are covering the skyline. The homeless sleep on the streets. And it's for the American Homelessness Coalition. It's like this political action group, but they're using Blade Runner as like a symbol to be like, no, it's not the future, it's now.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But like,
when the sky turns orange,
yeah,
and I look at downtown, like when the sky turns orange, listeners who are out of the area, not from like the sunset, but just from like all the shit in the air, and you look at downtown, you just say like, man, fucking Ridley Scott was years ahead of his time.
Yeah. I mean, I ran into a friend on the street yesterday in Highland Park, just walking the street,
Got nothing going on.
I had nothing, just walking.
Aimlessly.
I ran into my friend Frank, and we were talking about making art in late stage capitalism. And he was like, I feel like part of my task is to be digestive right now, like to digest like what is going on. And like, this is what's going on, like there are Teslas all over the place. Like Grimes is in a relationship with Elon Musk, like a billionaire. Like he's a billionaire and she's a pop star. Like it is like a match made in like villainry heaven. It's like so perfect. It is exactly what we deserve and need. Like I could talk about this forever. I just like love.
Gotta put you in a room with Tara.
But yeah, so I just think I think that's really good. And it's just like, it helps me understand more like those, like, what is going on? You know, life moves fast. It's like, I've been looking to, like, yeah, like that. So that was one this week that's really stood out to me.
Do you feel compelled to address that same subject matter?
Interesting question. You know, what I feel like I'd like to do with my art is, because it's taken me a long time to find my voice with my own music, and I see how much it can really help. It really opens my world up when I'm willing to share things I make. Like, I hope, and I always felt this way, like, at my shows, I want everyone in the room, like, especially the, like, women and, like, younger girls, just to know, like, get inspired, like, express yourselves, make something amazing. Like, that's what, so for me, it's more about, like, that reminder about connection and, like, how crucial expression can be, even in even when the smog is, like, encircling us. It's like, that's, like, art. It, like, lights the path. It always does. Like, music is how I climb out. Like, it's like when my life is, like, feels the hardest, it's like, that's when music sounds the best.
Right, and going back to what you're saying, it's kind of that clinging to something that's out of body. You know, the music is that thing that is the outer body that people go, it's much like that religion, where they cling to something they can't explain. It's the music, and that's why music is important, especially when it's smoggy and it's dark. You know.
Yeah.
You know,
it is. We can't explain it. It's really mysterious. Yeah. And I lose words when I start to try to talk about it. It's like, it's this amazing thing that happens. It's the same thing like when you try to talk about God, like all of a sudden you're like, I'm verklempt. But it's soulful. I think that's what it is, because I feel there's something in my body that responds to music physically. And like, I know people have done studies about that, but it's like, it's my soul. Like, it's like my innermost self that's responding to it.
So the next step, worship album.
But yeah, next step, worship album.
Didn't Kanye just do that? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
He holds church services now. Yeah. It's all so confusing.
I'm like, not worth thinking about too much.
Yeah.
I had a really great artisanal Nutter Butter yesterday. It's called Not a Nutter Butter yesterday. Cookbook in Highland Park. After I was walking down the street. So basically, if anyone is going to listen to this, what I did yesterday was I walked down the street and I ate not a Nutter Butter, and I did nothing else.
You saw Frank.
And you saw Frank.
I ran into Frank. Yeah.
That's a good day. It's a good day when you can just walk down the street enjoying not a cookie.
That is like the beautiful highlight of what happened yesterday. So that's what I'd like to remember about yesterday, because that was a beautiful part of it. Yeah, there was other stuff that happened.
What was your beautiful highlight yesterday, Raz?
Oh.
Long pause.
No, I'm trying to think.
Sad, long pause.
No.
Reading Dilbert in the...
No, all right. For me, it's when I can catch a 20-minute nap, okay? And it's not the nap itself. It's that moment of, like, it's almost like clarity where you look around and you go, oh, I got 20 minutes. And I have my timer, it's like set to 20 minutes on my phone. So it's, for me, my highlight is that flipping up the timer and knowing that I'm going to, like, for 20 minutes, I'm just going to shut off.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You know? And so that's my highlight.
Hey, that's a good highlight.
Yeah.
Maybe we all have 20 minutes in the day where we can just shut off.
Yeah, and just kind of reboot, and, you know. So that's yours, Bill?
I watched Logan's Run.
He just had that ready.
But it turns out it was just a commercial for the Homeless Coalition.
No, I've been going through tape by tape through my VHS collection. I watched the first 2 Terminator movies, and yesterday I watched Logan's Run. Basically, if it's got synthesizers on the soundtrack, I'll watch it.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, Blade Runner's coming up next. If somebody wanted to find out more about you and your music, where would they go to find it?
I put pretty much most things that are happening in my life on my Instagram. If I'm ever playing a show, I toss like the flyer up there. I try to keep my website updated, but it's Alex Rose BB, like baby, but BB
Okay.
because the internet. You guys read Hipster Runoff back in the day? No. I still call tambourines jingle janglers because of that too. So.
And I'm curious, when you do play out live, what kind of lineup do you have? Is it just you, or do you have a band with you? I mean, it's as this new sound is sort of developing, are you planning on developing a group to go with you as well?
Definitely.
The
yeah.
counterpointers?
Yeah, the Canyon and the counterpointers. Oh, boy. Yeah, I mean, I think, like, I've played that song Crosses that y'all heard. Like, I've played that with just a looping pedal and building, like, a guitar loop and singing over it and building my vocals. It doesn't totally have the same effect, you know? It needs percussion. It needs other people. It needs those flourishes that come in that I can't do as a solo musician. So it's kind of a beautiful metaphor. I'm realizing it's like really time. And I have a couple, I mean, LA's full of these incredible musicians. My jaw will drop like on a Tuesday night, you know, seeing some people play. So we're lucky in that
And those
way.
are the bad ones.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's like an embarrassment of riches. It really is. So yeah, pulling in the people, like really like pulling in the people that I know are like, you're the most incredible piano player I've ever seen in my real life. Like, please come play with me. So yeah, getting a band together.
Cool. If you play any shows or anything in the future, where could people find out about that?
Yeah, just on my website or my Instagram at Alex Rose BB, like baby, but BB.
Because the internet.
Because the internet.
And that's both at and .com.
Correct.
Groovy. Well, Miss Canyon, it's been wonderful to have you on the green couch.
Oh, thank you guys so much. I took my shoes off and I've just been basking in the green couch. Thank you
Basking
for
in its
having me.
Verdance.
I like it. It's a great shade of green.
It is. It really is.
It's very calming. Yeah, thank you so much. This has been a blast.
On the Green Couch is a production of ArtSchool Records in conjunction with and recorded at Project 4 Studios in Burbank, California. The show is edited by Raz, with additional production support by Dixie Trussell. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review us in Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. It all goes to helping other people find us. For more information, please visit our forever home on the web at artschoolrecords.com. I'm Bill Zunkin, and thanks for listening.